Tennessee, I know it hurts this morning, man. Let it hurt. Let it hurt. Josh Heupel said in post-game press conference. Soak this one in a little bit. All right? Final score, Tennessee 41, Georgia 44. Tennessee had the game in the crosshairs. It went how it went. All right, so we'll unpack it. I don't think there's any reason for you to not feel hurt this morning, but I also do think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about your future going forward in Knoxville. We'll unpack it right now. Before we do that, Tennessee fans, we appreciate y'all being dialed in. If you haven't yet subscribed, no time like the present, because I think this year for Tennessee, even with that loss, is going to be an exciting one. So I'll go back to what I said at the top. Whatever you got to do it today. Let it hurt. 24 hours. That's our rule on this show. Let it soak in for 24 hours. We sponsor the pizza meal or the bath meal, the pizza in the tub kind of situation. We want to do that. We sponsor the Marvin's Room operation. We sponsor the shower cry. Whatever you need to do to let this one get through your system, do it. But the reason why it hurts is because you don't have to talk yourself into the way you could have won this game. It was teed up right there. I don't want to dunk on Max Gilbert, just the way that it went. But as the dust settles, when you turn the page to Monday and you get past this win, or this loss rather, that should have been a win, you should feel really good about what this team is. And that sounds like I'm just trying to give you something to get up for and give you something to chew on and get you to subscribe here. That's not what I'm in the business of doing, man. Like, what I think needs to be noted is how talented Georgia is on the roster. And all you had stacked against you coming into this game, and still to have been in a spot where you should have beaten Georgia, should not be taken as nothing. Like, I look at what happened yesterday for Tennessee, and I didn't have preseason Tennessee in the college football playoff. Looked like a playoff caliber team to me yesterday. Josh Heupel took a quarterback that had not played a down of Power 4 football, much less the SEC, who missed all of spring practice and went up against arguably the best defensive minds in the sport, in Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart, and hung 41 and 371 yards through the air on him. That's not nothing. You should take that for something going forward here. Because for Georgia, man, if that's the toughest team you're going to play talent-wise on your schedule, and I think that there's a case to be made for that, is there a game on your schedule that makes you feel like it's going to be that much tougher than Georgia? Like, I get it. It was at home. I understand that. But, like, Bama, they looked human already this year. At Florida, I know the Swamp is a house of horrors for the Vols, but, like, I mean, who's going to be the head coach when you play Florida? It's a fair question to ask. Oklahoma, yeah, I feel that, but we'll see what Oklahoma is when you play them. You played them pretty close last year, and the quarterback situation you had last year to this year is much better than what it was, and the same for Oklahoma. And even though you won that game narrowly, like, I still think there should be something said for how much you've upgraded at quarterback, as much as they've upgraded at quarterback. I will be shocked if this Tim Banks defense gives up 44 at any given point the rest of the year, just how I feel about this team. You have both your corners out, which you hope you get them back in the near future. But that front seven, like, Georgia ran the football 55 times. So I understand there was that kind of soul-snatching drive we talked about on our Georgia reaction side of this thing, and the 14 plays, 13 runs, whatever. That's still Georgia. Like, and I don't want to give too much credit to the logo, but I do think when we saw that game unfold at the end of that thing, like, when it got to overtime and you didn't beat Georgia in regulation, wasn't there kind of the feeling of like, oh, man, now we don't like our chances nearly as much because Georgia, in the overtime spot, in the chips or stacked spot, they're a little bit more experienced in those moments, right? And that's not to knock Tennessee. I think it just points to the reality of, okay, how do you get better in those spots where it's overtime and a playoff caliber team on the other side and a team as talented as Georgia? You got to have the bumps and bruises, you know? You got to have those spots where you fall short in an overtime spot to then eventually be better when you get to the overtime spot against Alabama, against Oklahoma, against Florida, like all those spots in the future that Tennessee is going to play. That loss yesterday, as much as it hurts, as good as you looked, I think you can take a lot from that loss and be better for it. Again, if Joey Aguilar is going for 371 against Georgia, say what you want about how ripe that Georgia defense was yesterday, I still think they're super talented, and I still know that's Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann. They had them in a blender, dude. It was Jamba Juice out there. Joey Aguilar was dealing. Now, there was some plays that you're like, man, would like to have those back. The 2 picks, obviously. But how about Joey Aguilar? We keep saying this, but like, the deep ball is back in Knoxville, dude. It is back, and it is very real. Chris Brazzell winning one-on-one matchups. That was how Tennessee was supposed to win the game. is you win on the outside, so then Georgia has to commit more to the pass game so you can run the ball better. And, like, again, you score 41 points, you should have a good chance to win the game. You should feel like you would win the game if you were Tennessee. Heupel is a savant. Heupel is a savant offensively. Just make that very, very clear. It's kind of my whole take on that whole situation when it comes to the offense. You got the big question answered. The question going in to the entire season was, is Joey Aguilar good enough? Is our receiving core good enough to get back to the playoff? Even in a loss, my answer is yes. Defense will not give up 44 the rest of the year. Feel very confident in saying that. So where do you land if you're a Tennessee fan? With the dust settling and it's a loss, JD, no such thing as a good loss. I hear you. Here's what I would say today. You shouldn't be upset you didn't hit 225 on the bench for 20 reps yesterday, because going into the year, nobody thought you'd get 10. You got 15. It's really solid. Going forward, Tennessee will be better in these kind of spots, like I already said, because of a spot like this. It hurts, let it hurt, but you got to kind of have some battle scars to hold the ultimate trophy at the end of this thing, or to be in the dance at the end of this thing. And Tennessee, they're better at quarterback. I think they are arguably better at receiver with the separation they got yesterday. Defense will be fine. Get familiar with the big moments, because I think Tennessee has the chops and the pieces to be in more of those here in the near future. So Vol fans, get at me on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, at Jody PicKell. Obviously, subscribe here. How are we feeling after yesterday's game? Because I think you should take Tennessee a lot more seriously if you're a college football fan in general when it comes to that playoff conversation. Caden Smith, the ones and the twos. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.